Alright, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to replace the hinge pins in my 77 C10. This works for almost all C10s, K5 Blazers, Suburban, stuff like that. And I also have to replace the spring here on the upper door hinge. This is also the driver's side of the truck. And I'm going to show you, there's this one bolt right here on the upper hinge that you have to remove from the inside. All the other ones you can remove from the outside. Alright, I'll show you that one upper bolt that you have to remove from the inside of the truck. I've got the dash vent. Well, I've got most everything removed from the dash. Actually, mine was missing a lot of this stuff. But anyway, I'll try and get in here with the flashlight and the camera. See if we can see it. It's right behind that little plastic cover right there. And I'll pull that off and see if I can get the flashlight and the camera, and so you can get a look at the bolt. And this is it. This is just the little, it's metal actually, metal cap that covers it. You just get in there with a screwdriver and it pops right off. Also, one thing to note, there is a little gasket on there. You can see that. So just be sure to keep that on there. Alright, it's a little tight, but you can see there's the head of the bolt. And all you need is a ratchet, 9/16 socket. All the hinge bolts are 9/16, and an extension to get that out. And here you can see I've got the ratchet with an extension on there. Just taking that bolt out. Not much to it. And that's all there is to it. Just one bolt from the inside, and then you can see it's gone. You got 2 bolts there, 3 bolts there, 3 bolts attached to the door at the bottom, 3 bolts at the top. I'm not going to bore you with removing bolts. It's pretty basic. Alright, I got the upper driver's side door hinge removed, and as you can see here, I got my new hinge pin kit, new door spring, and I got door spring from LMC, and I got the hinge pin from my local auto parts store. So just make sure you check your local auto parts store, especially for these old square bodies, because they just made millions and millions of them between the pickups, the Suburbans, the Blazers, all that kind of stuff. So your local auto parts store will likely have a lot of the parts that you need. So anyway, as you can see here, that's original. Hopefully the camera will focus, but you can see the crimped ends on the end of that pin. And so what I'm going to do is just take the cutoff wheel and cut through the center of that hinge pin, and then that piece will come out through the top, that piece will come out through the bottom, and that'll be that. And as you can see, hopefully, those bushings are pretty worn out, but they're not that bad considering this is the driver's side door, which is always the worst. But they're definitely worn out, and so they need to be replaced. And there you go, one quick cut with the angle grinder with a cutoff disc, and split the pin. Now all we got to do is get it out of there. This lower one's pretty loose. I can turn it by hand. This upper one I might need to use some force to get it out, but I'll show you that. Now, the lower half of this pin is pretty easy. I've been having good luck just with a pair of pliers and yanking it out of there. Let's see if I can set this camera up steady. And there you go. Pin's removed. The upper one is being a little bit more difficult, so we will work on that, and I'll show you that one too. Okay, I got the top part of the pin punched out. As you can see, it's got some serrations on it, so that's what's holding it in place. Basically all I did is I stuck a bolt, I believe it's about 5/16 bolt, through the upper hole, touching on the pin, and then I had a socket underneath, and of course I did this all on my bench vise. It was, socket and the hinge were sort of like that, and just popped it out. It didn't take much pressure, just a little tiny hammer, and it popped right out. So that's all you got to do there. And there's one of the bushings removed. It's just a nylon thing, so it kind of just yanked it out of there. It breaks. There's the other one still installed, but you just pinch it, break it up, and yank it out of there. And then there's all the new bushings. You got steel ones, and then you got those little brass ones. Alright, here's a little quick showing of how to put the spring in there. The round part goes to the top of the spring. This is the top of the spring. You remember that bolt we had to remove from the inside? Well, that one was on the top. The square part of the spring goes down there in the bottom. I've got this set up in my vise. And basically, all you do, you get the top part looped into its little hook there. It's got a little indentation, but don't worry about that right now. And then you see you got the bottom just sitting there. What you'll do is use some pliers or any kind of leverage tool. You'll pull it towards you, and that bottom part of the spring there will slide up into this notch right there. There you go, that's all there is to it. Now you see the little notch in the spring is on the little hook. The little bottom part is in its little hook there. Basically all I did is I came in behind it and just pushed with my hand, and then with my other hand, once I got the little bottom part there to come around just inside the little hooky part there, I tapped on it with the hammer and slid right down into place. So now it's ready for the pin bushing, the pin and bushings to go in. When I had these disassembled, I went and ran them through a wire brush, both halves of the hinge, and just get them cleaned up because they'll get painted later on. And as you can see now, I've got the brass bushings installed, and you want to install them so that the little flange area is effectively on the outside. What that does is that comes into line when you put this back together. It's a low friction area between these two plates. So you also got the pin, but in between these two plates. And the little brass ones are real easy to put in. Basically all I did, I just set it right there on the flat spot of my bench vise. Use the same small hammer that I've been using this whole project, and just lightly tap them in. It really doesn't take a whole lot of force to get them in. And that's all you do. And you can see here I got the hinge set up in the vise, and I'm pressing the new pin into place. We'll see if we can zoom in. This does also have the little splines on it, and it needs to be pressed in. If you can press it in, I mean obviously I'm doing this here in my vise. I wish I had an actual press, but just put something on the end for this is just a large nut, just something for the pin to slide through. It's not going to press up against the back of this jaw, and just wrench down on it till you get it as flush as you can up there. And unlike original, you're not going to need to crimp the end of this. This thing's in there pretty tight. If you've ever done this before, or if you're trying this right now, this pin's in there pretty tight, so just so you know. And there you go. That's how you replace the hinge pin on the square body 73 through 87 Chevy trucks. A new spring install, and you see some black stuff on there. That's just some graphite lubricant. So this one's all finished. Now I just got to move down here to the lower one. If you can hear it, see it, it's pretty worn out too. So I got a pin for that. So I'll do that one, but not going to make a video because you already know how to do it. And hope you watch all my other videos.